This is DD News. Let's begin this bulletin with the Prime Minister's visit to China, where he will be attending the G20 Summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reached Huangzhou, the city of China, where the crucial G20 Summit and talks with top world leaders are to be held. The Prime Minister is expected to hold bilateral talks with the US President Barack Obama and the Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the summit. The PM will begin his program on Sunday morning by holding talks with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. The G20 Summit will be held on the 4th and 5th of September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already reached the Chinese city of Huangzhou. Amidst the slowdown in the major G20 economies, the focus of the G20 Summit will be on boosting global economies. China's Hangzhou city is all set to host the G20 Summit. The G20 Summit from September 4 to 5 will see the arrival of leaders from the world's 20 biggest economies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also reach China to attend the G20 Summit. China has said the summit will mainly focus on improving the global economy with structural reforms and innovation.
We will pay a lot of attention for the innovation. They were talking about the innovation acting plan, and we will talk more about the structural reform. That's a common interest of all the G20 member states. And India and China right now, we are both the pioneers for the structural reform.
Global trade growth will remain subdued this year at 2.8%, according to the World Trade Organization. This will be the fifth consecutive year of global growth below 3%. And the focus of the G20 summit this time will be on the boost in the global economy. India will take up the issue of international labor mobility, particularly of professional workers, besides raising the topic of climate change at the G20 forum. India's core agenda at the summit would focus on stable and sustainable global growth for employment generation, stable financial markets, and global trading regimes, especially after Brexit. The other major issue which will be focused on will be global action to mitigate terrorism and black money. G20 Summit will also provide a platform for cooperation and innovation among G20 members on a large scale, which will give a boost to the startups in the country. On the sidelines of the G20 Summit, PM Modi will also have a bilateral meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Australian Prime Minister, Deputy Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and the Prime Minister of UK.
Though the main focus of this summit will be on international economic coordination and cooperation, but the issues directly concerning economy like terror funding, climate change and tax evasion will also come up for deliberations. Sanjeet Khajuria, Doordarshan News, Hangzhou, China.
And China is all set to welcome the G20 leaders for this G20 summit. This time round, artists of China have created sculptures of the leaders, which is also giving a message that all countries are connected. So sculptures of many G20 leaders are gaining popularity, and the sculpture of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also becoming the center of attraction, as the Prime Minister already has quite a big following in China.
With the upcoming G20 summit, China is all set to welcome G20 leaders. A group of artists in Hangzhou are making clay sculptures of the attending world leaders to convey the message that the global economy is connected. Sculptures of G20 leaders is catching many eyeballs, with the Chinese media attention focused mainly on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's sculpture.
We are welcoming G20 leaders in some different style. We are making sculptures of G20 leaders, and sculpture of many leaders is gaining popularity.
China is all set to welcome the G20 leaders, but in a different style. China is making sculptures of the G20 leaders who are attending the G20 summit, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's sculpture is gaining popularity in China.
China is known for their unique welcoming style, and this time, along with the welcome of G20 leaders, a message is also given that global economy is connected. The theme of the clay sculptures coincides with the theme of the G20 Hangzhou Summit, which is building an innovative, invigorated, interconnected and inclusive economy.
Prime Minister Modi, when he visited Xi'an, my president's hometown, also very popular. And he go to our ancient heritage. And many Chinese also know Prime Minister like to practice yoga. He is a yoga practice and very skilled for that. Prime Minister Modi is a very decisive man and push very hard for the reform agenda.
To create these sculptures, the artist had visited many countries for inspiration. Clay sculpture is a traditional Chinese art with a history of thousands of years and was listed as part of the country's cultural heritage in 2016. Arun Sharma, DD News, New Delhi.